Asmir. Well, good evening to you.
Good evening from my end. Good morning to you.
Uh,
How are you, Andy?
I'm good, Asmir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing as well as can be. We're all healthy, which is the most important thing, and together as a family, so everything's okay.
Good. And Asmir, before we kick off, I know you're from Bosnia originally, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Do
that's
you
where I was
still have
born.
family back there as well?
I do. I do. Yeah, I have some. My grandparents are there, some aunts and uncles and cousins. So yeah, still got a bit
What's
of
the
family.
situation like there? Are they all healthy and well? And
Thankfully, everyone's healthy and well. I think it's a little bit more under control there. A lot less cases and deaths, so which is a good thing.
yeah,
But yeah, they're okay, hanging in there and just waiting for everything to be over. Really.
yeah. How's it been? Kind of. It's straight. I don't know if it felt like it happened very quickly, very suddenly, and it's certainly here in the US. Kind of, it was almost like we were watching it in slow motion from afar. It was kind of unfolding in each country. Obviously, Italy was one of the first in Europe, and definitely one of the hardest hit in Europe. How did it feel, sort of being there at the time, at the start of this, as it was unfolding?
Well, I mean, certainly a strange time for sure. We probably shut down within about 7 days.
Yeah.
We had a couple games called off, rescheduled, called off, and then we played one game in front of an empty stadium behind closed doors. And then literally a couple days after that, they shut everything down. And then
Yeah.
the whole area just went into lockdown, and there was no in between really. There was no like, oh, let's slow it down, and they pretty much like right away just shut everything down. And thankfully, a lot of us were able to get home. I'm back in London now with
Yeah.
my family, and thankfully that's been a good thing. But it changed very very quickly, Andy. I mean, just from being quite serious to pure lockdown. It's been a month like that now already.
Yeah, scary, scary, scary times. And what's that like being part of? Because it's a very unusual situation you're in. Obviously, there's family around you and everything else, but you're also part of a team. And whilst lots of us work in teams, it's a very different kind of dynamic than a sporting team. So in that situation where things suddenly get shut down like that, do you all still stay in close contact? Do you continue working together as a team? But like, is AC Milan kind of coming together on Zoom every day and having kind of chats about sort of like strategy for maybe later in the season, next season? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're still in regular touch with everyone. All the teammates were on WhatsApp groups and
Yeah,
everything these days. We're in touch with our coaches regularly to make sure we're on fitness programs and programs to keep us taking over. But it's tough really because the biggest issue is nobody knows when we're going back to normal. So as
yeah,
you say about planning, we have no idea when we can go back to work, when we can train together again, when we're going to
yeah.
start playing games again. So really, and how many games we're going to play. So really, it's such a difficult time at the moment with so many unknowns.
Yeah. How do you keep your fitness level up when you're presumably, did you have access to kind of fitness equipment to a gym where you are, or?
Well, thankfully, we're still at this moment in time allowed one bit of exercise outside the house. So you can leave the house
Okay.
here in the UK for one exercise session or just the essential supermarkets,
Yeah.
pharmacies. So I can still get my workout in, whether it's a Peloton session, whether it's a team workout via Zoom, as you
Yeah.
say, they put us through our paces, or I go for a run or something like that. So trying to keep as fit as I can really is
Yeah.
taking over as much as I can. Nothing's ever going to be the same from what we're used to, but
Yeah.
we try and just take over. And I think just also from a mental point of view, just make sure you get that workout in every day and keep to some sort of rhythm and routine.
Yeah. And that's obviously looking after your body. How do you look after your mind? I mean, do you do anything in particular? I mean, we've not chatted personally before. I know a lot of athletes these days will do something like meditation, or they'll just take some time out of the day to kind of to rest their mind. Do you do anything in particular for that?
I mean, I've got two kids running around most of the day now, so I'm out.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So
Yeah.
I'm out at nighttime. I'm I'm an early to go bed kind of guy. So from that point of view. I think what keeps me straight is making sure that, yeah, one, I spend that quality time with the family.
Yeah,
Two, that I have a purpose still. Make
yeah,
sure that I reshuffle my energy into different things. Maybe it's my off-field businesses, or podcasting, something, reading books. Just making sure I try and stay as engaged as possible to give me that sense of purpose, and then I think I can stay on the straight and narrow. Whereas if I was to not do anything, then I
yeah,
guess your mind can wander. But in terms of meditation, I try and do a couple of sessions of yoga a week. My wife
yeah.
and I, we do a Tuesday night session for sure. She's into it a couple of times a week at least.
Mm.
So those are the kind of things that just keep me in check.
Yeah. Have you seen a change? So I definitely in it varies country to country and sport to sport, but definitely there is a movement towards kind of looking after mental health or training the mind in a way kind of now that there wasn't in the past. Do you see a movement, whether it's with your own sort of teammates or within Italy, where that's becoming a more common thing, or not quite yet?
Oh, absolutely. Probably say in the last 3 to 4 years, it's really
Yeah,
picked up. Mental coaches, life coaches,
yeah,
of psychologists, people that athletes work with, has become a lot more common.
yeah,
Some guys talk about it, some guys don't.
yeah.
It's very much a private preference type of thing. But yeah, no, it's definitely something that's grown in the game, and yoga, Pilates, all that kind of stuff. The spiritual things are
Yeah.
definitely, definitely important now, and part of most clubs' routines.
When you show up for a game, and I'm sure every performance is good, Asmir,
Yeah, of
um,
course.
but obviously some as an athlete, some games are just better than others. Do you know, like retrospectively, are you able to look back at a game and know why you were able to either tap into that kind of creative flow or not? Kind of, are you able to, do you know, like leading up to a game, kind of whether you're in the right frame of mind? Are you able to kind of change that prior to a game?
You know what? That's a good question. Actually, probably going to stuff I was going to ask you. How I could potentially improve that, because I mean, for me, when I get to the stadium, when I get to the game,
Yeah,
I go into sort of a zone. I'm not a huge talker or talk with people or socializing. No, about an hour and a half before the game, I get into my routine, what gets me right for the game, and I try and keep that pretty consistent, really,
yeah,
and to make sure it's as consistent as possible. And I've done that over the years now. Would I know particularly one time than the other? Probably not. I guess another thing that affects us is, your preparation of the week. Do you feel ready for what you've done
yeah,
in training over the few days before you have a game? So there's
yeah.
different things that could affect you, but I try to keep my mental approach as well as just my general physical approach quite as consistent as possible before games.
Yeah, I mean, we've done, especially work with a ton of athletes and sport teams. It just always interests me kind of how different people kind of prepare, and especially working with some of the NBA teams out here. A lot of the younger lads, obviously, they listen to a lot of music, and it's often sort of very high energy. And for them, it's been the way they've always gone into the game, but at the same time, it can often almost amp up the amount of kind of energy, and they're almost using up some of that nervous energy that could be channeled and saved for kind of later in the
Interesting.
game. So I'm always just interested in how people prepare, and also kind of I love watching. I watch a lot of sport, and I grew up watching AC Milan as well, and just the ability of players. You see it kind of in certain players. The ability to sort of let go of things that have happened on the pitch in the game so that they can continue and really be present, rather than it's almost like one thing can throw someone's whole game off for the rest of the game. Whereas kind of players at the top seem to be able to kind of, something will happen, but they have the ability to let that go and to kind of continue. Have you found that something that's kind of grown as a skill throughout your career?
For sure. Well, I think that very, very much comes with experience. That's one
Yeah,
thing. Understanding that these things are going to happen, especially as a goalkeeper. We're not in the business of being allowed to make even half a mistake.
yeah,
Because we know that any sort of mistake or misstep is going to cost us and cost our team a goal. So we know that we're under pressure a lot, and that mental toughness, mental training comes in quite early for us. For us other players, maybe develops a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But for us, that's something that's instilled to us from coaches in an early stage. Because for us, a lot of it's mental. I mean, the amount of mental energy we'll use in the game obviously very much outweighs probably the physical part.
Yeah.
I guess our week leading up to a game is probably more physical rather than mental. So that's where it flips on its head a little bit on the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I think that grows with experience and learning through the good times and the bad times and making those mistakes, and then just training yourself to really become as immune to those as possible.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to do a little, if it's all right with you, a little exercise in just a moment. We've been doing it each day, just get people to come together, just a very sort of short exercise. But one thing that's been really inspiring kind of throughout the last couple of months, and the difficulties are all the amazing things that are happening in communities, and just the incredible things people are getting involved in. I know seeing people singing out of their windows in Italy was one of the very first, actually. It's obviously led to lots of sort of different kinds of things in different countries, but I know that was really inspirational. I know you have a foundation, right?
That's right.
Is this specifically with refugees? Is that right?
So my charity, my foundation, we set it up just over 6 years ago, and we specialize in our main focus is to build sports facilities, because we think that sports facilities can really affect a lot of people, give them that purpose that I kind of talked about earlier. I think just give them a chance to focus on the right things in life, get off the streets and socialize with everyone. Of course, keep active, keep fit. Big believer in sports, huge sports fan. So I think it has a really big way of touching as many people as possible. But recently, I've become involved with the United Nations refugee program. I was a refugee twice in my life, so I can relate to people that are very vulnerable, and especially in times like these, where this virus that's going around doesn't discriminate. I think ultimately it can affect everyone. It's going to affect the people that need it and are the most vulnerable the most. So we teamed up with them and just doing some good work, and just trying to, like you say, just spread a bit of a good message and hopefully get people involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, refugee camps right now, that must be so much fear. I mean, that many people living that closely together. It's got to be a really scary time, right?
Yeah, it's terrible, terrible times. I mean, some of the stories you hear, and there was just a campaign recently of how much a bar of soap can do, and I think we take a bar of soap for granted, but just cleanliness but like you said, just hope in life, because you would have been put in such a difficult circumstance, in such a difficult situation, that you always want to see light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that's probably even a bit further away now for a lot of people.
Yeah. What was Italy where you first went to as a refugee from
No,
Bosnia?
so I left Bosnia because of the war to Germany, and then circumstances made us leave Germany.
Yeah.
I was about 10, and we moved to Canada. So I spent 6 years in Canada.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So you moved around a lot.
I moved around a lot, but that's how I became an ice hockey fan. So
yeah. Okay, well, look, thank you. Thank you for dropping in with us today, Asmir. Thank you for all the work you're doing with the UN and that stuff. I think it's amazing. I know AC Milan as well are about to announce some things that they're doing with your community as well.
Yeah.
But as I say, I think for all of us, we're all kind of searching for our own way to make sense of this, but also kind of how to cope with it and how to manage it. And a really important part, especially the Headspace community, is kind of taking time out each day to pause, whether it's for 10 breaths, 10 minutes, but just to pause for long enough to put all that stuff down, to step out of all the stress and just be kind of present with the breath. So we've been doing, as I say, a short little exercise. Today, I think especially relevant for kind of people who are into sports, who are very physical. We're going to do something called a body scan.
Okay.
I'm going to guide you all through it. You're welcome to either, if you would prefer, you can drop off camera, you can lie down on your sofa, on your floor, whatever is most comfortable to you, or you can stay right where you are. if you are at home, as always, you can lie down, sit down, whatever is most comfortable. So this is going to be, we're only going to sort of stay with the body scan for about a minute or two. But if you can, and I know it's not easy at the moment I normally say sit in a place where you're going to be undisturbed. There's a good chance if you're at home right now that kids are going to come and dive bomb you, or a dog or a cat might jump on you at some stage during the meditation. That's fine too. Okay, so just take a moment to get comfortable. So as I say, we're gonna start, and we're gonna start as we always do. So eyes open. So just a soft focus with the eyes, and just taking a big deep breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you breathe out, if you'd like to, if you find it comfortable, you can just gently close the eyes. If you prefer, you can keep them open. Just take a moment just to feel the weight of the body pressing down against the seat or the floor. And just to enjoy the feeling of having stopped. And as you sit there, as you start to notice how the body feels, just starting to become more aware of the breath. So as always, you might feel it in your chest, in your diaphragm, your stomach. If you can't feel any movement, you can just gently place your hand on your stomach just to feel that rising and falling sensation. And then starting at the top of the head, we're going to gently scan down through the body. So as you scan down, take about 20 or 30 seconds to go from head to toe. You're just noticing where there are any feelings, sensations of tension, where there's any sensations of perhaps comfort or ease. We're not thinking about the sensation, we're just noticing it, continuing down through the body. So just building up a picture of how the body feels, bringing the mind into the body. Of course, as you do this, the mind's going to wander from time to time. It's fine if it does. Just noticing it, letting it go, and then bringing the attention back again into the body. And just continuing down towards the feet, toward the toes. When you get to the end of the toes, just again pausing, noticing how it feels to let go of any thinking, to bring the mind into the body. And then whenever you're ready, you can just gently open the eyes again. Thanks, Asmir. So super short exercise, but surprisingly kind of effective. I think what always surprises me still about these exercises, you actually don't have to do a long time for it to feel different in both the body and the mind. If you're someone tuning in today and you've been wanting to do longer sessions, so we are going to have a weekly live meditation, which will be a little bit longer. But remember, you've got Weathering the Storm on the app, so regardless of whether you're a Headspace member or not, it's free to use. You can go there and you can meditate for as long as you would like to. So you might like to do that after Take 10 today. If you're planning to come back on Monday, next week we've got some amazing guests for you. Really love you to join us. Asmir, thanks again for joining us today. I hope the rest of your stay in London goes well, that you and your family continue to be safe and well, and that you're able to get back with your teammates in Italy soon as well.
Thank you very much, Andy, for having me, and really appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye bye, man. You too.